So happy that you're able to join me today. As you can see, I am not Shannon, your Cigna on-site health coach. I'm Jane Granis, and I'm the Pinellas County Wellness Program Manager. Unfortunately, Shannon had something unexpected that came up today, and she wasn't able to make it. So my coworker here, Nikki Lanowski, who's technically behind the scenes, we're just gonna fly by the seat of our pants, fingers crossed, and hope it's all gonna go okay. So I'm actually really excited to do this cooking demo for you, the winning weeknight meals, because I have a family and we're all really busy. And if you're anything like us, you know that if you're not prepared with ingredients, with kind of a plan, those weeknights tend to get away from us from having something healthy to eat and feed our families or feed ourselves. And so what we're going to talk about today and what we're going to show you how to do is have a strategy that is super simple so that when you get caught on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday with not a whole lot prepped or planned, you have a quick go-to. So some of the barriers about eating healthy, right, are having the right ingredients on hand, overwhelming recipes that require way too many seasonings that you may or may not one day buy and then never use again. And then also things like taking out things that need to be defrosted, like frozen chicken, for example. And then you have that, oh no moment when you're thinking, oh, that would have been great, but it's frozen. So today we are actually going to use a simple base. So one base recipe or one base item, and we're going to use chicken breast. And we're going to use plain chicken breast and prepare it 3 ways during the week. And the first thing you do, let's say on a Sunday or whatever day, is you're just going to make your chicken. Okay, today we're actually poaching our chicken. That's just a fancy way for saying boiling. And then we store that chicken up to 5 days properly sealed and refrigerated. And when you're poaching, you can either just use water, very basic, it's fine. If you want to pump up the flavor a little bit, you can use chicken stock or veggie stock if you prefer. One thing I recommend about chicken stock is, number one, it's a great pantry staple. So get a bunch, put them in your pantry, and then you can always pull them out when you find yourself needing one. The other thing is, and you're going to hear me say, look at the labels, the nutrition labels on the side or the back, because some of the brands are extremely high in sodium and some of them are much lower. I think the ones that are easiest to spot would be low sodium, but even some that are not marked low sodium actually naturally are. So, you know, with anything that we talk about here with nutrition, we might talk about vitamins and minerals and antioxidants, which we are a little bit, but sodium is a huge problem in the United States with the standard American diet. So anything that we're buying, we're always going to look for sodium content, and there's options, right? We just need to look at the labels. So our chicken, if you prefer not to boil, AKA poach, that's fine. If you like to roast your chicken, absolutely. If you have an Instapot, the chicken breast actually cooks very easily and quickly in an Instapot. If you don't, obviously there are other options. I would even say that you could grab a rotisserie chicken from the grocery store, right? And that's going to be your neutral base. Now, if you have a bigger family, you might have to grab a couple to get you through 3 meals. All right, so our chicken actually is poaching currently in our brand new hot plate setup here. And we're finding that it is a new adventure and it's taking a little bit to boil, or to cook thoroughly. So we're gonna wait on that. Let me show you and let me talk you through the 3 things we're gonna make. So on Sunday, you make your base, your chicken, and then the 3 dishes that we are going to make are quesadillas with our chicken. We're gonna make chicken salad, lettuce boats, and we're also gonna make a quick barbecue chicken sandwich with a veggie. So let's talk through an assembly of our ingredients for our quesadilla. We're gonna wait for our chicken, so we'll just go ahead and assemble what we have. So we bought our base a whole grain or whole wheat tortilla. This is an easy way to still enjoy something like a tortilla, but by choosing whole wheat or whole grain, we get some nutritional benefits by having added fiber in the tortilla. So it's a great swap and a healthier swap. We're also going to, on our tortilla, let's see, we're gonna put a little avocado. Now, avocado is a wonderful staple to have. If you're an avocado eater, you know that they go from hard to overripe in 5 seconds, but they are a wonderful source, a healthy source of healthy fat. So we're adding some avocado to our tortilla. We're also going to add a little bit of shredded cheese. So a word about shredded cheese. We know cheese makes things delicious, right? You go to the restaurant, and if you order a quesadilla, it is cheese laden and delicious. But as we try to clean up our diets a little bit, we don't want to start taking things that are delicious that we enjoy away. We focus more on how much and the portion size of what we're going to use. So we're not going to, deprive ourselves of the cheese, because cheese is amazing. You are just going to want to, when you're at the store, perhaps make a choice to get a lower fat cheese. I don't know about fat-free. Those usually are so altered at that point that they kind of taste chemically for some people. So I think low fat is closer to what the full fat version would be. And then also, as we're sprinkling, right, we are not doing a thick layer of cheese. We're just adding some for flavor. The other thing we're going to add into our tortilla today is black beans. Now, this tortilla, if you want to make a vegetarian version, black beans or pinto beans or red beans are an excellent vegetarian option if you're looking to eat more plant-based. Even though our tortilla is actually going to have some chicken, we're going to add our black beans today. So black beans are amazing for a few reasons. Number one, they have protein. Number two, they are high in fiber. So not only are they very filling, but they help manage our weight because we don't eat as much. Number three, they are also a wonderful stepping stone to a healthy gut because they are part of the process to produce healthy gut bacteria. So there are many, many benefits to beans. Now, beans, let's talk about beans for a second globally as a food. On a weeknight, you're really busy. There is no shame in getting canned beans. No shame whatsoever. When you use your beans, you empty them into a colander. You're going to want to rinse them because by rinsing them, you're going to reduce the sodium content. Now, if you do like or would be, I guess, open to using and making dried beans, there is definitely a trick. I used to never, ever do this because the idea of soaking the beans and remembering to cook them the next day, and I had to watch the pot, it was just way too much. And I had the best of intentions and it just never happened. So when I got an Instapot, it was a total game changer for me because you don't have to soak the beans. You put them in the Instapot, you press the button for an hour and they're done. And they store very well in the fridge and last quite a long time and can be a great neutral base for a lot of different dishes. So let's see, I have made all kinds of beans. This works great for lentils. This works great for quinoa, all really great sources of protein and fiber. So we have our black beans here on our tortilla. All right, so we are going to chuck our chicken. I'm not sure what's happening over here. All right, let me grab a fork. What happened to all my stuff? I was so prepared. All right. I think they're still working on themselves. So we're going to move on. All right. So we have our quesadilla set up. Let's say that's night one. Okay. Night two, we are going to use our chicken as a base and we're going to make a chicken salad. So our chicken salad, here's how I like to amp things up nutritionally with the chicken salad. We sneak stuff in. Okay. So think of a traditional chicken salad that has mayonnaise. It has, maybe you like grapes, maybe you like relish. It has other veggies in it. We are going to amp ours up a little bit. So let's see, we've got a couple things here. We have celery, pretty traditional, right, for a chicken salad. There's a great trick to prepping your vegetables or cleaning your vegetables ahead of time. So what I like to do is wash them in water. When you fill a bowl with water and add a tablespoon of vinegar, and you're gonna rinse your veggies ahead of time in the vinegar, which is great for really getting the veggies clean. But also the vinegar is antimicrobial. So when you store it in the refrigerator, maybe wrapped in some paper towels, you're actually helping them stay fresh longer. This really works for berries as well. So I am chopping my celery, and I actually really like to chop mine small because I don't love celery. I like it fine cooked in things in a mirepoix. I don't know, the strings and the flavor. So if you've got one of those, all you've got to do to kind of trick yourselves or trick your people in your household that are eating this is to just chop up your ingredients fairly small, and then they're not so forward in the flavor. All right, so we've got our celery chopped. All right, now let's see what's next. Onions, right? We've got some onions here. Now we're using red onions today. Red onions are more common, I would say, eating raw, perhaps in a sandwich or even in a quesadilla, of course, in things like chicken and potato salad. It does have a little bit of a fuller, sweeter flavor, which is why people tend to gravitate toward the red onion when you're using them raw. Onions, the onion family in general is wonderful, very high in antioxidants. So whether you're using yellow, white, or red, they're actually really nutritious. Now, red onions and yellow onions are actually higher in antioxidants than white onions. So if you're going to reach for one, I would definitely stick with the yellow for cooking. Probably they're fine. If you want to, if you don't have red on hand, I can't tell you how many times we've not had the red on hand because we just buy yellow onions to cook with. You can always reach for a yellow onion. But if you don't necessarily have a preference, I definitely go with the yellow or the red. All right, so we've got our onion. Now, here's where I get really sneaky. I take my chicken salad, sort of ends up being like a hodgepodge of things that are kind of left over sometimes. So we're going to do double duty with the broccoli, which we have set as part of our third dish here. But let's say we had some left over, right? So I'm not going to waste this. And I don't know, second day, plain steamed broccoli, maybe not super exciting. But what I do actually is, again, I chop these really small so they're not so flavor or fashion forward, whatever, flavor forward. And then I throw that into my salad. And it's kind of a sneaky way to get other greens in. Now, I do this with kale. My people at home don't love kale, or perhaps you don't love kale. If you chop them up really small, and obviously you're gonna watch your portion. You don't want your chicken salad completely green, or that kale is going to be in your face. That's a great way to throw in something else that's green and that amps it up. What else can you throw in a chicken salad? Herbs, either dried or fresh herbs. They're amazing because they're extremely high in antioxidants, so disease-fighting compounds. They offer a whole lot of flavor. And, you know, when something is really flavorful, we tend to use less salt, right? So we're going to keep that table salt content down. I brought a little bit of paprika. Actually, this is smoked paprika. So if you've not, paprika is really nice because it's not really spicy. I wouldn't say it's spicy. It has a little bit of heat. If you use a little, it's not, I find that, you know, one of my kids doesn't really love spicy all that much, but the paprika adds a really nice flavor without being so punchy with the spice. So of course, but it also depends on how much you're adding, right? All right, let's turn our chicken down here. All right, I'm gonna turn this off, hang on. So, here it is. All right, so these are plain, there's nothing fancy about them, but we just fancy it up a little during the week. All right, so we're talking about our chicken salad, and just like our base here, chicken salad is an opportunity to get creative. So what we're making here is sort of a basic chicken salad with mayonnaise, salt and pepper. But what you could do is do a whole different flavor profile for your salad. So for example, you could maybe use chipotle or seasoning and put some cilantro in as a flavoring, a little bit of cumin, and have almost like more of a Mexican flavor. You could take more of an Asian approach and use a little Asian vinaigrette and perhaps add some ginger or something. So it really just depends. If you like curry, you could add curry. It really just sort of depends on if you like all those flavors, wonderful. It's a way to change it up without having to do a lot of mental work and getting new recipes in your brain. So our chicken, normally what we would do is let our chicken sit, okay? It's important to let meat sit after it cooks because what happens is it needs some time to rest so that it stays juicy. Now, for the interest of time, because it smells really good, and whatever we're making today, Nikki and I are eating for lunch. So we're gonna make these, right? You do the work, you get to eat it. It is pretty hot, so I'm not gonna shred too much with my fingers and a fork here. If you like, the nice thing with the chicken is if you like to have a little bit more of a chunk, kind of a chunky pieces, a little bit to have your teeth sink into, you can always just prepare them in a way that you prefer, that your family prefers. The other thing that I keep saying family, and I don't really want to exclude others who might not be cooking for a lot for other people, and perhaps your challenge is more that cooking for one is just not worth the effort, right? Because then you're using, you're taking the time, but you might find you're having to eat the same thing for 4 days. This option is actually a wonderful way for you to make food for one and have something different for the rest of the week. Because our examples here, we have 3 chicken breasts, right? So one to show each of our recipes. Obviously, if you have more people that you're cooking for, you're gonna amp this up with the amount of chicken you're making, right? So that you have enough for each of the meals. But as you can see, just doing 1 chicken breast for each of these is a great way for somebody who's just cooking for themselves to also be able to have a winning weeknight meal. So, all right. Let's see here. Let's tell you what chicken. This table's a little wobbly too. All right, so I am going to add chicken to our salad. And I've only added a little bit of mayonnaise here. I find that's another great example of perhaps a condiment or a flavor that if we're used to a lot, we might consider reducing the amount a little bit just to control the caloric intake. If you look at the back of mayonnaise, the serving size is 2 tablespoons, and that's not really, quite frankly, a whole lot, right? It's pretty easy to get 2 tablespoons, and it's easy to overeat. So I actually recommend kind of measuring that out if you're not used to being on by sight, so that there's a great way to control calories and sodium as well. And condiments in general are pretty high in sodium. Again, flip over, look at your labels. They are not all created equally. We're going to use barbecue sauce in a moment, and I have one that I kind of had to search for. It's 11% of your daily intake, which for barbecue sauce, not horrible. All right, so we don't have like a fancy overhead camera where you could see our chicken salad, right? But here it is. It's got a little bit of an orange tinge, I guess, to it because of the paprika. All right, so we are going to actually, our conduit for eating our chicken salad is going to be lettuce boats. Now, lettuce, not all leaves are going to be conducive to chicken boats. Some of them are too large and flat, and some of them are teeny tiny, and probably not going to work well in transporting said chicken salad to your mouth. We found usually you can find a few that'll work in the middle. And this is another way to kind of reduce the white flour intake if you were just to make a sandwich. You know, your vehicle here is a nice, pretty piece of romaine, so that when you eat them, you're actually introducing another green vegetable. So there are our boats. All right, so our tortilla is waiting for us. Now, this is a pure avocado oil spray. And I'm also going to go back to our mayo. Our mayo, if you would like to make a healthier swap for your mayonnaise, go ahead and use one that has avocado oil base, because it's a little bit better for your heart, along with your cooking oil. The other benefit of avocado oil when you're cooking is that it has a high smoke point. So what does that mean? Different oils become hot at different temperatures. And once they become too hot, they will actually turn rancid or they'll burn. And all of the compounds, the beneficial compounds, antioxidants, will break down and actually turn into free radicals. So that oil, you end up kind of doing the reverse of what the intention was, right? So with things like olive oil, you have to be really careful. Olive oil has a fairly low smoke point, and you shouldn't be using it to cook at a high temperature. You want to keep your temperature. It's best used for foods you can cook at medium, maximum medium high temperature, but probably medium low to medium. So avocado oil is wonderful for that reason, because it does have a high smoke point. All right, let's get that warm, and I will cut up the chicken. This is also one of those things that can be delegated to another family member. I'm a firm believer in that. Nikki. Shannon, if you saw in the last Cheer Health, for the August Cheer Health, she actually wrote a great article about introducing kids and kind of getting kids comfortable in the kitchen. And all age groups from even 3 and 4 year olds can be given and taught tasks that are a great help in the kitchen. And that's anything from, measuring, pouring ingredients in, and then up to for older children who can even, start to meal plan and chop and prepare vegetables. So when I say delegate, I really mean it. I mean, you could probably get a 4-year-old to sprinkle the cheese on the quesadilla, right? So, all right. So our wonderful chicken here is going on our tortilla. Let's see how this goes on our brand new hot plate. All right, we're gonna get that going for a little bit. All right, so our third dish is a really, really simple barbecue chicken that we throw together. Literally, it's 2 ingredients and maybe some seasonings. So we're gonna chop our chicken, and really you can shred or chop your chicken all at once. You don't have to kind of wait for the day of that you're making your dish. This can all be prepared on your Sunday or whatever day you find that you have the most time. All right. So with the barbecue sauce, this is just one idea where you're taking a very basic, base, right? Like the chicken, and then adding a sauce for to change it up a little bit. So I like to go to the grocery store actually and kind of see what other kind of, flavor sauces there are. So for example, teriyaki or some kind of curry base, or even just seasonings that, have a different flavor palette where I'm not having to mix my own seasonings where, it might call for this and the 6 different things where 6 different herbs or seasonings that I might not have, or quite frankly, don't really have the time or the desire to combine. And at the store now, you'll find some really unique and interesting combinations that they have already done for you. And that's, I just get so sick of like the same flavor, right? So that's an easy way. Again, watch the sodium content in these sauces. You can really change that up. All right, so this is seriously, honestly, my children could make this. That's how easy it is. We are going to take our chicken and put it in our bowl. And our ingredient here is going to be barbecue sauce. Here, obviously, add enough to flavor or consistency, whatever you prefer. Now, barbecue sauce in and of itself is, it's pretty seasoned already. So this would just be a personal preference, whether you feel like this is enough or whether you would like more of a depth of flavor. I will add I'm going to add a little bit of pepper and see how that tastes. I would say hold off on adding salt to it because you might find that there is already enough flavor in it so that there would be no need to salt additional. All right, so I'm going to do a little pepper. And again, personal preference. All right, so guess what? We have our barbecue chicken and we are going to plate it as a sandwich. So kid friendly. Oh, I put it on the top instead of the bottom. That's all right. So kid friendly, I recommend, again, a whole grain. Let's flip that. A whole grain roll. Now, other options for whole grains, if you don't want to use like a bread product, would be brown rice, of course, and other grains that are maybe not as common would be barley, would be farro, quinoa. What else? I guess if you really like, you could do some noodles. But I don't know. That sounds kind of dry. Some people really like that. All right. So you see that we have plated this with some broccoli. Broccoli and really quite a few different vegetable combinations are readily available at the grocery store in frozen bags. And what's cool with the technology of fancy bags, they're microwavable, so you wouldn't even need to transfer them to a bowl. Just throw them in the microwave and they're done in 5 or 6 minutes. Again, you know, you eat enough broccoli with nothing on it, you start to develop an aversion and think, oh, natural or nutritious food is really boring. And this is when all those seasonings and herbs come into play. Because if you find some seasonings that add a little punch, a flavor, and kind of mix those up, then again, your broccoli is serving as sort of this base without a lot of flavor in and of itself, that is just waiting for you to season it with something. You know, same thing if you're doing like a Normandy blend or basil, like more of like a stir fry blend. So there are lots of options. The other thing that I like about frozen food versus something that is canned is that it's frozen fresh at the peak of freshness. So it retains its nutrients. Sometimes when we buy fresh vegetables, they've traveled a long, long way in fresh fruit. And so they're not at their peak and they do lose nutrients over time. So honestly, I think in many ways, frozen veggies are actually preferred, not to mention they're quick. The other benefit of frozen items like that, I really find some not so run-of-the-mill ones. So for example, butternut squash, you can get frozen and chopped up. You can even get like pearled onions, sometimes sauteed onions, that just make preparation even quicker. So you're not having to chop onions. If you've really ever tried to make butternut squash anything from scratch, it's horrible and it takes a lot of work. And honestly, I don't know if you do it and you like it and you're successful, you're amazing. But I just always buy certain things prepped like that because I can't do it. And it's so much quicker. So in our example here, we've just got our steamed broccoli, really simple. But again, you're going to want to zhuzh it up a little bit here, right? All right. Let's check our quesadilla. I sort of forgot about it. All right. Oh, my spatula is over there on the table. That's awesome. Flying beans everywhere. Nikki, if this works out okay, we're going to have a really good lunch in like half an hour. All right, so I've just been kind of going here. Does anybody have any questions?
No questions yet, so feel free to throw them in the chat. But I am seeing a few good suggestions.
Okay.
With the barbecue, possibly doing a veggie slaw with it, even making a broccoli slaw or
Fabulous. Those are all really good suggestions. Yeah, Ezekiel Bread, if you have not heard of it, it actually, they make baked goods from sprouted wheat and sprouted grains. And the benefit of sprouted grains is that when the seed sprouts, it is at the peak of its nutritional value. So you get, this is not a scientific number, so don't quote me, but you get exponentially more nutrients for your buck than a full grown sprouted grain. So Ezekiel now makes bread. They make rolls. They actually make quite a few different types of bread. They make waffles. They make English muffins. I don't know. They probably make some other things. They make a whole bunch of other stuff. Now, they're not the only ones that make baked goods from sprouted grains, but you want to look for that type of bread grain product. And that's a great suggestion. Thank you. The slaw also. Slaws actually have gotten pretty creative in the last several years. I feel like they used to just be white cabbage and red cabbage and carrots. But now, yes, broccoli slaw where it's shredded in with some of the cabbage. I've also had shaped Brussels sprout in slaw. You can get, of course, great if you have the time to shred it all yourself and make it. awesome, but probably on a random Wednesday, you don't want to do that. So they do make them pre-prepped in bags, throw them in a bowl, throw maybe a little vinaigrette or some of the avocado mayo on it. And you've got yourself a great side. So great suggestions. What else is there that people had suggested? Okay. Anybody else have great ideas? I think that's one of the fun things of doing these cooking demos is people share and you get to steal their ideas. Nothing. Okay. All right. Well, we are going to end, I guess, a little bit early. Thank you so much for joining me today for Winning Weeknight Meals. I hope this has been really helpful. We will send out the recipes for these. They're fairly simple, but if you do want a cheat sheet, so you don't have to think about it later, we will be emailing that out. And don't forget that we have been doing the Cook Along Kitchen series for several months. And so we have quite a few that are recorded that you can watch on demand. So we definitely recommend that you check them out. I think Nikki is going to put the link in the chat if she hasn't already. And we are always here for you with any questions that you may have. Our Cigna on-site health coaches are also here to answer any nutrition questions. And they're also happy to set up a time to meet with you one-on-one if you have any specific goals that you want to work on, or specific issues or food sensitivities that you want to work through. So they're an amazing resource. They can meet you here in person or meet virtually. And we're just really excited about having them. So thank you all for joining us today. And we hope you had a great time. And we look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks.